Howdy folks, it's Meandering Mike in the man cave of madness. It's middle of the evening and we're doing another unboxing here of, Undaunted Stalingrad from Osprey Games. This is another David Thompson design, co-design with Trevor Benjamin. Many of you have heard of the Undaunted series, Undaunted Normandy, Undaunted North Africa, and Undaunted Reinforcements. So this game just came out. I just received it in the mail. So we're gonna take a look at this one. This is a little different from the previous ones in the series in that one, the box is much bigger, much heavier, and it's got a full campaign game. So let's take a look and let's see what that means. Let's get the shrink off here. And as usual, I have, let's find the best spot to get in there. Yeah, I have slits in the shrink, get my fingers in there, pull that stuff off. Yeah, there we go. Alrighty, let's just unceremoniously dump that on the floor. So let's take a look at the back of the box. Wow, it is heavy. Now, let me see here if that's good enough with the light. Can you see that? I'm gonna hand hold the camera for a minute. I know you guys like a steadier cam. Some of you have said a steady image is well appreciated. So again, Undaunted Stalingrad. There's a look at some of the components. It says you can upgrade your soldiers, deploy your reserves, transform the city. So this is what you'd call a legacy game. It has a campaign game, and as you play the scenarios, things change, and so there are new effects on subsequent games. Now, this is not like some of those legacy games out there where they are destructive, where when you get to a certain point, it tells you, oh, tear up this card, or, it's like, no, it's all recoverable. So that's good. That's all you designers and publishers out there. Many of us do not like destructive legacy games. Please don't do that. All right, so as we can say here, it's a standalone game, so you don't need the other pieces in the series. It uses the system, but it introduces new units. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Okay. There we go. New units and actions, new actions, bespoke mission briefings, and an all-new integrated branching campaign to immerse you in this battle at the heart of the war. So here it tells us that there can be up to 15 scenarios in your campaign, up to 15 branching scenarios. So I am guessing that it's possible to finish the campaign in less than 15 scenarios. Depending on your choices and what you do, you might be able to take some shortcuts, or maybe you want more missions in your overall campaign because maybe you can do certain things, improve your position more by taking on certain tasks, and that might help you in the final battle or something. So we'll have to find that. We'll have to discover that. So let me zoom back out here. All right, so looking down at the bottom, let's zoom in again. It tells us 45 to 75 minutes. Now, obviously, that's per game, per hand, per round. Obviously not for your up to 15. I think that'd be 3 or 4 minutes, 3 or 4 or 5 minutes per game to make a whole. Yeah. So that's each game. So you've got a lot of entertainment. If you say an hour on average, you're gonna have 12, 13, 14, 15 hours, probably way more than that, right? As you set up, tear down, put up, play it over time. Who knows? You may have to replay some of the scenarios or something. Like you might, oh my God, Someone failed. Well, actually, it is a 2-player game. It's not a solitaire campaign, so technically you wouldn't let's say you played the first scenario and it was so bad of a loss that you were totally wiped out. You did so poorly, like, all right, just start over again, right? So let's assume it's not that. Now, I am hoping that there is some solo-friendly assistance to this game. I intend to play. I enjoy playing solo, multiplayer, 2-player, whatever, playing both sides. But depending on the nature of the card play and the deck building and the secret knowledge, it might be, more or less difficult to play this solo than others. I don't know. We will find out. So let's zoom back out here and open this puppy up, actually. Howdy, folks. So somehow I inadvertently turned off the camera when I zoomed in, and I had already got through the unboxing, I don't know, halfway through, when I realized, oh my goodness, it's no longer filming. What the heck? So I've already opened it. It's out of the shrink. I put a bunch of stuff back in, but let's do this again. So, having opened it up, here we are encountering 4 booklets. All right, I'm gonna put this down steady as she goes again. We have a map book. All right, a German scenario book, a Soviet scenario book, and this rule book that tells us, Achtung, do not read anything. Do not unseal it. Do not pass go. Do not click. No, it doesn't say that. But don't read the booklets. Don't unseal the decks. Don't punch any of the counters out. Don't even move any components until you have read the assembly and storage guide on page 4. If you need to reset your game, you can find it do so on page 31. Now, I'm going to thumb through these real quick and show you some stuff. Nice full color rule book. Page 4 guide. Where to put stuff. I don't really think there's really anything there. This is a never look at the cards in your locked, upgrade, or reserve decks until you start to do so. Never look at the cards in your opponent's card tray. Period. So technically, if you're playing solitaire, you've violated and you've looked at the cards of both sides. You need to be definitely kind of a multi-personality kind of person to play this solitaire, it sounds like, if there's that much hidden information. So I would highly, highly recommend trying to play this with 2 players unless you really know you're not going to get it to the table at all. Unless you play it solitaire. So in that case, you're going to have to just figure out how you are going to deal with that personally. How are you going to deal with the surprises and the hidden information, etc. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take some quick peeks at these things. I'm going to show you the inside. I'm not going to dwell on any page. I'm just going to flip through so that you can see what it looks like. There are nice layouts of maps. They have scenario numbers across the top. They're not sequential. So there's like scenario 11 is the first one, scenario 21, etc. 53, 52. So some cases are sequential. They're not 32, 41, etc. All right. So you will find those out as you get to them. It'll tell you the layout. Those look pretty cool. There's a scenario book again for each side, the German and Soviet. It'll have paragraphs. Well, that's a record. Let's see. Here are the paragraphs. So it'll tell you here. So like read this, and then it'll tell go play this scenario, right? All right. And then once you're done with scenario 11, it'll tell you other stuff to read, etc. So they're not in order. There's gaps. It's partly, I guess, to obscure information, that you can't make certain assumptions about things. It's not like a traditional, like, choose your own adventure thing, go here, go there, back and forth throughout the book. It doesn't appear to be. So I'm just flipping through really fast. So this is just text and a direction, what to play. There's some small stuff, like a status thing. There's some charts on the scenarios. In the back, on page 34, that's where the actual scenario starts. And I think there was a little... No, it didn't say here. I think... because I already peeked at the German book before when I was filming it the first time. So I know here, at least on the German book, it said, yeah, page 35. So you're reading paragraph 1, you're going to go play scenario 1. Eventually you'll play scenario 12, or you might not, right? Depending on the branching choices of the scenario, you might go to a different scenario next. But this did say, go to page 35. So here's all the paragraph text. There's 36. So here is what the layout of a scenario, how many control objectives and supplies and the deck of cards, etc. So there's the details. And somewhere in there, obviously, is the map layout in the map book. So that's how that works there. Those aren't really spoilers, but technically there would be. You know, if you pause it and looked and zoomed in, yeah, don't do that. Don't spoil it for yourself. All right, so we had looked at part of this rule book. It's nice and color illustrated throughout. I'm assuming there's nothing in this rule book that you can't read. It did not say do not read the rule book. Rules for your first game. How to. Let's see. Campaign step. All right, so you're going to play a first game, and then it'll tell you, all right, now you're in campaign mode. We're going to figure out where you go next. So then you read some stuff on that. Campaign rules. Transforming the city. All right. Destruction and fortification. All right. Maybe you don't want to read that in detail up front until it tells you what's going to happen. But, all right. Campaign actions. Yeah, I don't see anything here that's telling us, no, you should not have read this. So, resetting the game, historical. All right, so. All right. Those are those. Now, let's say I'm double checking. Yes, the video is still going. I should probably check that more often. It was the zooming in that did me in. All right. So, I'm going to rant here again. I ranted when I filmed this the first time. Y'all missed it, but that is, do not worry about the fact that these counters have chopped off part of the heads of the dudes. That is a technique called bleed, where they're cutting it at a certain point, and it's intended to be bigger. That gives you more leeway where it's cut. It's you know, you can see here that this information has not been cut off. It's relatively centered. The fact that, no, it's not including all the artwork, but that was intended. If you actually had something cutting off a symbol, then you would have a miscut counter sheet, and then you complain to the publisher. And I mean, look at how much here. That's intended. Just don't worry about it. You know, that's what the guy's going to look like here. And if you can't deal with that, don't buy any Osprey games, because they do that. They've done that on more than a couple games. Don't worry about it. All right. So, rant over. Now, really cool is there's so many different, you know, look at the targeting reticle, the hexagonal counters, round ones. So that was the Soviets. Here are the Germans. We even have, looks like tunnel-shaped counters, stars. What would you call that shape? A four-pointed star? I don't know. flags. I don't know if those are white flags for surrender. I mean, they look white and they look like a flag, but would you need that many? Maybe, you know, if there's surrendered troops, there's that many prisoners being held somewhere that you need to rescue. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's a control marker. This looks to be about the only squarish traditional counter in the whole thing, and they do have rounded corners. More flags up here. All right, so that is the counters. That was 3 sheets. All right, now as you can see here, nice tray for storing round counters and the flags and other square dudes. That even looks like, is that the tunnels? Yep, the tunnels would go in here, and that's rounded slots where you get your finger in to get them out, etc. This does not snap on. It does overlap nicely, but you'd want to put a plasti band, or this not a rubber band, plasti band. Yeah, I do not have a sponsorship. I do not have stock in the company that makes plasti bands. I just think for storage and archival purpose, a plasti band will serve you much better. Rubber bands, anyone who's found an old game where the rubber band has stuck to cards, has made indentation marks, or stuck on the map, the box, the rule, that can even tear it. You know, as you, like, it's all stuck on there, you try to remove it, it can tear the paper or something, you know, so don't use rubber bands, plastic bands. Small investment. Go get them. All right. Now I'm going to tip this up so we can see in here. And yep, we're still going on the video. Don't mind me. All right. Dice. There's 4 of them. They're 10-sided dice. They're black and white. They're cool. So here's what they're talking about. Different card decks. Do not read. Do not open. Do not open until instructed, right? And technically, if you're playing the Germans, you shouldn't be looking at the Soviet cards. And if you're playing the Soviet, you shouldn't be looking at, well, I'm not going to open these up. But this would be your starting set of characters. I don't know if you get to assemble your own team, if you get a random team or what. From the very first scenario, they tell you. Same thing for the Germans. Parallel construction here. An upgrade deck and a lock deck. Glare there. All right. Now there are, upside down. Upside down. This is in a looser plastic bag. It's got the thing. I could open this easily, but don't open until instructed. So I'm not going to show you the reserve deck. No, I'm sorry. I will not show you. You do not get to see that in the unboxing. That would be a bad spoiler. That would be a bad spoiler. Now, I'm going to show you. I don't know. This is a terrible spoiler. This is plain old clear terrain. So they've got a identity 806A, 807A, etc. And then the actual looks like tracks in the clear. All right, so 7, 8. Power plant. Power plant. So I'm not going to show you more than 1 or 2 of these. I don't want to. What a peek! Another power plant. So a brewery. All right, yeah. That's worth showing. You want to see a brewery, right? The ruins and cellar of this brewery served as one of the main living areas for the Soviet 39th Guard. All right, so get a little historical flavor. Get to see some of the stuff, but that's as deep as I'm going to go into that. Don't want to give you spoilers and such. Big box, heavy box. Nice card trays. I don't know if that's where the dice were intended, or yeah, it's too shallow to go in there, so it's got to be somewhere. I usually end up putting dice in a little snack Ziploc baggie, the little tiny ones, just so they're not rattling around as much. Rattle, 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 rattle. All right, so this is nice, having a planned storage system, an actual tray for all your counters so that they'll fit in the game. it's a bummer, you know, getting the modern games where it's like, oh my god, I can't fit this stuff back in. Even you go out and you want to get your own counter trays and like, oh, here, just use baggies, and even then, sometimes it's like it doesn't fit because they don't lie flat. Like 3 thicknesses of counter sheets. Now that's a very efficient way to store stuff. And even though there's this wasted space in the margin that gets disappeared, you can't get any better than keeping these flat like this. Some people keep the sprue, the cardboard sprue, and try to pop these things back in. I don't normally do that, but for some games it might be handy. But obviously this one you don't need to because you have all this built-in storage here for them. So yay. Yay for Osprey Games. Now, some of you pronounce it Osprey. I've heard Osprey. I've always heard it as Osprey. And I don't know if that's a British-Canadian thing versus American thing. I'm American. I usually like to pay attention to pronunciations. Some of them are often weird. I don't know. When I hear a Brit saying skeletal system instead of skeletal system, or talk about capitalism instead of capitalism, my brain almost explodes. But sometimes a pronunciation that you're not used to actually makes more sense sometimes. So I don't have an example right off the top of my head here, but sometimes it makes more sense. All right, folks. So that is Undaunted Stalingrad. Rulebook, map book, 2 scenario books, 3 counter sheets, a whole bunch of card decks. Don't open them before you're ready. Don't be that guy. Don't be too curious. Feel free to punch out the counters to your heart's content because you got a solution storage there. If you've read that section, you'll know what to do with them. You won't waste them. All right. So we've got the box is going back on. It's nice, heavy duty linen finish. There we go. Kind of classic artwork there. You got the female Soviet sniper, German guy with his light machine gun, and that doesn't look right to me. For a Soviet soldier rifle, that does not look right. No. Anyway, if anyone can tell me what this rifle is, this is supposed to be. That does not look period correct to me, but I could totally be wrong. Anyway, that was Undaunted Stalingrad, part of the Undaunted series. David Thompson and other co-designers. Undaunted Normandy, Undaunted North Africa, Undaunted Reinforcements pack, and this is definitely standalone. You don't need any of those other ones to do this big campaign game. So this is out there now, shipping. It could be in your local store, might not be yet. I bought mine from Amazon. I paid, less than full list price, but I paid more than some of the online vendors out there have listed. So if you need to save money, you could check like CLS Games out of Atlanta. They have an online presence, and their price was like $80. This is Amazon. I was able to do free shipping because I do Prime. But, if you don't have that, or you don't like to support the big corporate behemoth, you like to support your local game store, go for it. They probably don't have it yet. They probably don't have it yet in your local game store. Might be an exception, depending on where you are, but Undaunted Stalingrad. So that's it for now. Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Science. Man Cave of Madness. And, well, yes, really, I do need all these board games. So that's me signing out now. All you folks, take care, and ciao.